Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today we are finally sitting down to film all of my recent reads for both April and May of 2026. There's a lot of books here, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, before we get started, you guys, can we just appreciate how massive, oh my gosh, that hurt my arm, how massive this book stack is? I haven't read this much in such a long time. Like, look at this. Consistently, I mean, yes, it's 2 months, but you guys, for me, and there's some not even pictured here because I read them on audiobook or on my Kindle, I'm impressed with myself, truly. I cannot believe I read this much. A lot of these will actually be going through pretty quickly for the month of May because I just posted a video talking about the books that I read on my honeymoon. So if you guys haven't checked that out, please do, because it's a super fun vlog style, which I don't normally do very often, of us on our trip to Indonesia. It was amazing. But for the month of May, we'll breeze through a lot of those pretty quick because I talked in length about those in that video. But first, let's get to the month of April. When I was looking back, I genuinely thought I didn't read anything in April because it was my wedding. And surprise, surprise, I actually ended up completing 5 books, which I was really excited to see. So let's breeze through them pretty quickly. The first we have on top is The Fairest by Gail Carson Levine. I picked this up super randomly on a drive down to San Diego. I picked up the audiobook, started listening to it. It was very reminiscent of like old school audiobooks where it was a full character cast. There was singing because this book does center around quite a bit of singing. And yeah, this was one that's been on my shelf for the longest time. I used to love Gail Carson Levine's books back in the day when I was in middle school, elementary school age. And yeah, really enjoyed this. This essentially follows a girl who is Aza, whose singing is renowned. She's an excellent singer in this kingdom where singing is valued by everyone. And she essentially catches the eye of the husband or the king's new wife as she goes to the kingdom, but she's also a very ugly girl, her words in the story. And so in Aortha, the kingdom, its singing is being very prized. She ends up getting tangled up in this situation with the queen. Chaos essentially ensues, and this one I thought was cute. It kept my attention. It was very reminiscent of Ella Enchanted in kind of that like putting the fairy tale in a new spin, which I really enjoyed. This one I will say wasn't quite as memorable for me, and I didn't really love the ending of this one as much as I loved Ella Enchanted, but I do love her writing style. I do think I want to pick up more from her now that I'm kind of in that mode of reading some of her stuff. But yeah, overall this one was cute and I'm glad I picked it up. Then we read one that unfortunately wasn't for me as much. This is The Witch Doesn't Drown in this one by Amanda Lovelace. This one is an author that used to be really big. Probably I'd say, gosh, maybe like 5 or 10 years ago. Amanda Lovelace came out with a whole series of poetry books that were really popular back in the day. And I was really excited actually to see that she was continuing on in what's my favorite series of hers, which is the fairy tale series essentially, where she kind of takes women are some kind of magic series and kind of turns it on its. I actually have a bunch of her books that are over on this shelf over here. And yeah, so I was excited when this one came out. I saw the preview for it and then I picked it up and I just didn't unfortunately love it. It's very much in a similar vein of a lot of her stuff, but I feel like reading it now at 33 years old instead of 23 years old, a lot of the stuff unfortunately just didn't resonate with me quite the same. So I do love her older stuff. I think if I read it back through, I don't know if it would hold up for me in quite the same way, but I know I enjoyed it back in the day when I read them. So yeah, unfortunately this one wasn't for me, but I am glad I picked it up regardless. Next, I continued on in one of my new favorite graphic novel series. This is Castle Swimmer, Volume 3 by Wendy Martin. This continues on in the story of Kappa and Siren. Essentially, this follows 2 boys, mer people, in this world where Kappa is kind of a shark human. I'll be honest, the storyline for this one, I keep picking them up, isn't the easiest for me to follow. This one I think I actually enjoyed probably the most after the first one. The second one for me lost me a little bit, but basically in this one it follows obviously the events of the second book, where Kappa is going out on an adventure on his own to try and find the Siren, who is essentially this like mythical creature in this world, where he's kind of drawn to people that need his help, helping fulfill prophecies. Everyone knows kind of who he is. It's very funny, it's very campy, it's very cute, and I actually really enjoyed it. I really enjoy this series. Like I said, I'm really into webtoon comics. A lot of them for me are just amazing, and I think I'll definitely keep picking up this series. It's very cute, and I love the art style of it too as well. So there's definitely certain series that I've gotten into over the years for graphic novels. This is definitely one of them for sure. Then I finally continued on in my read of the Supernova, or no, what is the series technically called? The Renegade series. So I finally finished the second book in the Renegade series. There we go, Taylor. Finally finished the second book in the Renegade series, Arch Enemies. This essentially picks up right where the events of the first book took off. I've been loving this series, and I actually am looking forward to hopefully finishing the trilogy this summer. It's definitely on my list, which keep an eye out for that video. I'm doing a summer TBR, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I will be posting that very soon. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, it just continues to build upon the events of the first book. This essentially follows a world where the people in the world have superpowers essentially, and the way that it's been done is so interesting. I love the X-Men movies back in the day when I was a kid, and this feels very reminiscent kind of that world and of that like original superhero OG Marvel kind of world, which I really enjoy. The way this second one left off on such a cliffhanger, I am so excited to keep reading in this series. This is where I feel like my reading things that have been on my shelves for a while, even if they are YA, I find some gems, and I know they're going to be great, which is why they stay on my shelves for such a long time. This series being a prime example of that. So I'm so excited I finally got around to reading it, and I will be reading the third one very soon. Okay, and the last thing for you guys that didn't know, I am in a book club with a group of my friends. We meet about once a month, and each one of us rotates through picking a book for the rest of the group to read, and then we get together, discuss it, have some girly time. It's super fun. This, I think, has been one of my most favorite books that we've read from this, and why I love the book club, because I would pick up books from them that I wouldn't normally pick up on my own. Now, obviously, The Correspondent has been a hugely popular book here, especially on BookTube and the Bookstagram book world, but for me, I think the actual like concept of this book isn't something I would normally reach for myself. I don't tend to reach for a lot of general fiction. A lot of my girlfriends do, so this one was one we all really enjoyed. But this essentially follows a woman named Sybil, who writes correspondence or letters to people in her life, and spanning several years of her life, this essentially follows her interactions with multiple different people throughout the later years of her life, including her family, her friends, her neighbors, her old co-workers, the authors that she reads, movie stars. It's just such a sweet little snapshot, and the way that this is written is so incredible. I really liked this book. The ending got me. I just thought this was so well written, so well done. Again, not something I probably would have picked up on my own, but I honestly think one of my favorite books that I've read so far this year. So really enjoyed it if you guys haven't checked it out so far. Okay, next, we're gonna rapid fire through most of these because, again, I have reviewed a lot of these and talked about them ad nauseum in my How Many Books Can I Read on My Honeymoon. But for those of you guys that didn't see that video, I essentially completed 8 books in the 2.5 weeks that I was on my honeymoon with Caden, and then finished quite a few as well when I got back. But rapid fire through the ones I don't have physically in front of me. I read both the first two books in the Emma M. Lyons series and really enjoyed them. The second one I think really sucked me in even more than the first one did. They're the little, I want to get the whole bind up in like physical copy because they're just such quick like snapshot reads. They read like a Pride and Prejudice novel, like it gives old style Jane Austen, but it basically follows this girl Emma as she's living her life in what I think is like 18th, 19th century London. I can't really pick out a general time for it, but definitely back in like the olden days, and they're just so fun. She has such funny interactions with her friends, her family, the people that she engages with in her life. The town itself has a little bit of whimsy. I really enjoyed them so far and definitely want to keep reading the series. So loved those. And then I also continued on in the series for Dream Harbor by Laurie Gilmore. That one was the Daisy Chain Flower Shop. I read all of those ones on Kindle. I really enjoyed that one. This one follows a girl named Daisy who runs the flower shop in town, and she ends up fake dating another guy, Elliot, in town to kind of help break this curse that the town believes that she's under. It was cute. It was a little steamy. I think they set up the next couple in the series, which I'm excited to read about. And yeah, I love those books. They're kind of an automatic buy for me at this point. I've read every single one of them in the series. They're light, they're fluffy, they're quick. I usually can read them in a day or two. So I really enjoyed that one. It was a good time. So yeah, and then rapid firing through the rest of them. Again, I talked about these kind of ad nauseum, but I also read The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. This is essentially a future dystopian, kind of in the vein of like The Giver or 1984, where basically there's an island where people are waking up one day and forgetting things, or essentially having their memory wiped of things like ribbons and perfume and jewelry. And then over time, as the book progresses, those things that are being forgotten are obviously more and more serious, like books and body parts. And it just gets really crazy and intense. This is very symbolic. I'll be honest, the ending kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. I'm not quite sure entirely how to feel about it, but I did enjoy it overall. The concept was good, and I feel like this is just gonna be one of those books that kind of sticks with me after I've put it down, because I just kind of keep thinking about it every once in a while. So really enjoyed it, but yeah, the ending for me I wish was a little bit more clear. Hard to say. It gives, again, the same kind of energy that the Giver ending does. If you guys know, you know. Next, I read, let's see, The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I finally got my hands on a Sarah Beth Durst book. I really, really, really loved this one. I listened to it on audiobook and want to continue on in the series immediately. I love a cozy fantasy, low stakes, slice of life. This one is following a girl who escapes from Kyla as a librarian and is fleeing from her city, where her city is essentially under attack from a rebellion, and she flees to her home island with her sentient plant friend named Kaz, who was, I think, one of my favorite characters in this entire series in the book. It was so good. It's got a low stakes romance. The characters in this are so cute. I really enjoyed it. It definitely gives me the Lattes and Legends kind of world vibe. It's so cute. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. I knew I would. Again, these are things that where my books sit on my shelves, I know I'm going to love them. And I did. So I'm so excited to keep on in the series and to read more from her. Okay, next I read Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wade Jones. Very different ending from the book and the movie. Let me just tell you, if you're planning on reading this, this again has been on my shelves for quite some time, and I picked this one up on my Kindle. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Again, the beginning is very reminiscent of the actual movie, and then it takes a very sharp left turn into something totally different. So keep that in mind if you're thinking it's going to be along the same lines as the movie. This is unfortunately a case where I do think I like the movie better, because I did grow up on the movie from a very young age, and the book, yeah, I don't know. It was good, but it wasn't quite what I expected. So I don't know if I'll necessarily continue on in the series, but as I was reading it, it definitely gave me snapshots and scenes to the movie, especially when what's her name? Sophie dyes his hair a different color, and he has like a total freak out and like melts all over everything when Howl has like a total meltdown. He's much more dramatic in the books, believe it or not. So yeah, I enjoyed this. I felt like the romance I didn't really buy into. Same with kind of the movie, it kind of comes out of nowhere. There's also an element of this within like the romance aspect for Howl that again was a weird left turn suddenly with him being interested in Sophie. If you're interested, I definitely would say pick it up, but just go into it knowing they're very different mediums and stories. Okay, Next, I continued on in the Menagerie series. So for those of you guys that have been following some of my more recent zoo episodes, I've been really into any sort of magical zoo world. So this is a middle grade series by Tuti Sutherland and Carrie Sutherland, basically following three children who are trying to save their magical menagerie or magical zoo. And this one is the second one in the series. It picks up like the same day as the first book ending, so that was cool to jump right into it. Its series takes place, I think, in total all over the span of like maybe a week from what I read online, so excited to read the third one. The characters in this are adorable. The world is so cute. Again, if you guys have any magical zoo or like zoo recommendations, please let me know. I'm in my wanting to read about zoo books era, so especially if they're magical. So let me know down in the comments below if you guys have any other recs, but loved this one. Okay, then I started yet another series that has been on my shelves for forever from a YA perspective. This is Three Dark Crowns by Kendara Blake, and this book is so dark. So not expecting that. I guess given the concept, I probably should have had a little bit of a heads up, but the way this book made me audibly gasp out loud at certain points was wild. This essentially follows a world where in which three girls are born and all three have a right to become queen, but in order to do so, they must kill the other two queens. It's nuts. The way everyone's so slimy and the political intrigue and the maneuvers and manipulation, I was shocked. The way this ended too, I'm very intrigued to keep reading this. I didn't think at certain points that I want to keep going in the series. The ending got me. I do want to see where it's going, which is, of course, to me, the sign of a good book. So enjoyed this. It's a wild time. You've been warned. Okay. I realized I'm missing one, so I'll flash it up here on the screen, but I finally continued on in my read of the Onyx Storm book in the Imperium series by Rebecca Yarros. I really enjoyed those books. I'm really not gonna lie. I listened to it on audiobook. I think I told you guys in my wrap up for the honeymoon vlog video that I need to go back and listen to or read the last 100 pages of those books. I do it with every Rebecca Yarros book. I basically had to go back and find a summary of the second book before I started the third one. There's just so much that happens. And when I read the second book, I had to go back to the first one. So regardless, I'll probably go back at some point and reread them anyways. But yeah, that book series, it's just like, to me, it reads like a CW show. Like everyone's hot, everyone wants to sleep with everyone. There's wild, crazy things going on. The plot's a little fuzzy, but it's okay because everyone's hot, and I'm just here for a good time. So I think I definitely liked the storyline of this one and could follow this one, I think, a little bit better than the second book. I will admit, because it's been so long since I read the second book, there was a bit in the beginning I feel like I had to kind of play catch up on. But once we got into like the meat of the story, I was in it, I was hooked, I was excited about it. So yeah, I will always pick up that series. It's kind of an automatic buy for me at this point. It's so popular. And yeah, I loved it. Like, period, point blank. I'm trying to catch up on all of my like big fantasy series because I'm so behind on some of them. So that was one that I was really happy to get off of my TBR and off of my shelf and consider it read. So now I'm ready for whatever this new book is that she's coming out with later in September. So I'm excited and I'm here for it. Okay, then to wrap up kind of my era of reading around the honeymoon, I did finish The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This, again, is a series I've had on my shelves for forever. This one really got me again in the last 50 pages. I was not into this book and almost put it down a couple of times, and then I finally picked it up and like sat there and read it, most of it on the plane ride home, and really got hooked in, again, the last like 50 pages. The way this twist got me, it got me good. I want to figure out what's happening in the series. I'm intrigued, I'm invested. So yeah, these authors really know what they're doing to keep you going into the next book. And I think because these books are a little bit shorter, I don't think this is going to be like an all-time favorite series for me, but I was definitely intrigued enough to want to pick up the second one and see how it goes. So yeah, we will be continuing on in this one as well. So excited for it. Okay. And then the last two things I read for the month of May, this was our May book club pick, which was The Sirens by Amelia Hart, the author of Wayward, which we read I think back in October, by her as well. This is one of her newer releases, and this one for me was fine. I feel like it took me a minute to get into this one. I did read it pretty quickly over a couple of days before our book club because I'd got back from our honeymoon. But I just wasn't excited about this book. As it progressed, it essentially follows two sisters who are growing up and essentially are one of the girls, Lucy, essentially is trying to find out what happened to her sister Jess when she shows up to her house and Jess is missing. And then in a parallel story, there's two sisters who are essentially aboard a prisoner ship sent for Australia. And their stories obviously interconnect as her stories tend to and have overlap in different ways. I enjoyed it. I got through it. Book club overall, the general consensus was we liked it, but I do think I liked Wayward better. Overall, I like her stuff. Her writing is very lyrical. It's very beautiful. Some of it felt a bit repetitive to me, and all of us kind of generally agreed that there was more explanation, especially for the ending, because everything ties up very quickly right at the end. So yeah, I think this book could have been 100 pages shorter in the middle and 100 pages longer on the end, and I would have been happier. But overall, if you do like Amelia Hart's book and you want to pick up The Sirens, I definitely think you would enjoy it. Okay. And the last book that I read very quickly, surprisingly, for this month, for May, was The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. This essentially follows the real life story of a man named Lali, who is a Slovakian Jew forcibly transported to concentration camps in April 1942 at Auschwitz. What follows within these pages is a very heart-wrenching story, as you could imagine, of a man living through the concentration camps during World War II. That being said, there is a level of detachment with this because of the perspective that this book is in. It takes place from the outside perspective, which I'm totally blanking, but I think is third person, where essentially we're following, kind of looking on the outward in at Lali's experiences rather than it being in first person and kind of Lali explaining it as if he's telling the story. It's definitely coming from a Lali telling the story being told to someone else, if that makes sense. So there is a level of detachment to this that I think would have been more impactful if it was in first person. That being said, obviously this story is horrific. Obviously it's heartbreaking. Obviously this book is so impactful for a lot of reasons, given that it is someone's true life experiences. And yeah, essentially he was the person who tattooed numbers on everyone as they entered into Auschwitz, which is unbelievable. Overall, I really did enjoy this. Again, I do wish there was a perspective of it coming at it from first person, because I just think it would be more raw, if that makes sense, rather than kind of a level of detachment that you get. But yeah, overall, the things in this are heart-wrenching. Obviously, it comes with trigger warnings that come with anything of this nature if you're reading something like this. So it was heartbreaking. It was beautiful. The ending was beautiful. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So if you're interested in anything by Heather Morris, there's also a second book within this world that I'd like to pick up following a woman that's in this book as well. And I definitely think I want to pick that up at some point. But yeah, beautiful story nonetheless. And other than that, that is it for my book reads for April and May. I can't believe we're already halfway through the year. I'm blown away. I can't believe my wedding is behind me and we're here and I'm now a wifey, which is crazy. I'm so happy to be on the other side of the wedding. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this wrap up. Let me know down in the comments below what you were excited to read in April and May, and keep your eyes peeled because I have a ton of videos coming for you guys that have just been backlogged that I need to put out for you guys. So if things are a little out of order, I apologize, but I'm trying to just crank out the content for you guys. But I do have a summer TBR which should be coming up very soon after this one, so please keep your eyes peeled for that. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoy. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to see more of my face, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!